Brandon in Australia, who wants to talk about Kalam Cosmological Argument for God. Hi, Brandon. You're on with John and Tracey.
That's where my eyes glaze over.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Good.
Yeah,
how are you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I've seen you guys have heard the argument before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Would you like me to go over it or for the audience?
If you want to go through it and sort of address why you think the criticisms fail, that would be good.
Okay, well, I suppose I'll start just stating the argument. Whatever begins to exist as a cause, the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And then we can work on that and unpack what it means to be a cause of the universe.
Or what it means to begin to exist.
Right.
Yeah, or what it means to be, what it means to begin to exist. So do you guys deny either one of those premises?
I don't know. I don't really, I wouldn't be able to weigh in on those.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that either of the premises are true.
Okay, well, why do you think so?
How do you know whatever begins to exist must have a cause?
Okay, so I think, first of all, it's very self-evident that whatever begins to exist has a cause.
But see, the problem is I've heard information, like people have talked to me about things like virtual particles. And when I get into things like that at the quantum level, I don't know what to make of them, and that's kind of beyond my ken. So I'm unable to...
I can explain to you because I've definitely looked into it. A lot of people claim, things can come out of nothing because we see it in quantum physics and the quantum vacuum and whatnot. But it's been shown countless times that the quantum vacuum is not nothing.
Right. But wait a minute though. Wait a minute. I don't think that there is such a thing as nothing.
Well, exactly. That's what the first premise is saying. It's saying that.
Well, no, the first premise says whatever begins to exist, and I'm saying that there's no such thing as I don't understand what nothing even is. So I'm not convinced that there can be nothing. So I don't know that anything begins to exist in the way that that nothing existed and then something existed. I don't think that's possible.
So you don't think something can come out of nothing?
I don't think there can be nothing. I'm not sure a creator is required because I don't think there can be nothing. How would there be nothing?
So you think necessarily there has to be something?
I could be wrong, but I'm open to hearing why I would be wrong, but I don't understand what nothing is a nonsense concept to me.
It's not anything.
What does that mean?
So nothing. It means not anything. It means absolutely not anything.
How could it be?
What do you mean? Nothing.
Yeah, how could nothing exist?
It's not something that can physically... You can't call nothing something that can exist.
Okay, so nothing can't exist.
Well, you're using a play on words.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you to explain this to me because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not doing a play on words. I'm saying, can nothing exist?
Nothing is a negation. That's all the word is. So it's...
Can nothing exist? Can nothing exist?
Yes.
Then how is it not something if it exists?
Well, that's a very weird question. Can nothing exist?
I don't know how else to ask it. I'm saying that I don't think there can be nothing, and you're saying that you think that there can be nothing, and I'm saying then how? Because if it exists, it's something. And if it can't exist or doesn't exist, then I guess it would be nothing, but then it can't exist. So how can nothing be? To me, that statement that nothing can be or nothing can exist or there can be nothing makes no sense.
I'm a little confused. It's just sort of pretty strange how you're confused about that point. I think it seems pretty evident that you can either have something or nothing.
How can you have nothing?
How can you have nothing?
Yeah. How does that even make sense?
There's nothing contradictory about having nothing.
How can there even be nothing to have? What is it? And even that question makes no sense, because how do you ask what is nothing? Because if it is, then it's not nothing.
Okay. Let's get off that point, because I don't think.
But it's an important point, because if we're going to say that things begin to exist, and I'm saying I don't know how things can begin to exist because I don't know how that something wouldn't exist. How can something that doesn't exist exist? It doesn't even make sense.
So you're pretty much saying that things necessarily have to exist.
I'm saying I don't understand. I could be wrong, but I do not understand how nothing can exist. It seems to me that if there's something,
you're on a talk show, you got to understand these big arguments. You got to understand how it's possible and that something can exist, and it's not necessary that something always exists.
Then then you're saying that nothing exists?
That's clearly not what I said from that statement.
No, but are you saying that nothing could exist?
Yes.
Then how is it nothing?
If it exists.
An existent thing is a manifesting thing. If nothing is manifesting, then it's something.
Okay, I think you are getting confused between the word nothing. Nothing is not an actual thing. You can't say nothing exists. Like, what stopped the car? Nothing. Oh, nothing stopped the car. Oh, then that nothing, you can't describe it in that sense. Nothing is a negation. So it's.
But you're saying anything. You're saying not anything, and I'm saying, do you think that there's a state of not anything that can actually be? And if so, how? How could nothing be?
How. Well, before the universe, that's how.
But if it is being, then it's not nothing.
I didn't say it was being.
I said, how could nothing be? And you said before the universe. So if it was being before the universe, then it wasn't nothing, it was something. Well, then what was it?
Before the universe, it was not anything. There was no being. There was not anything.
But how do you know that there was a time before the universe that...
But what does that mean? How could there be not anything?
I didn't say be.
What is it?
There was not anything.
What was there?
You keep saying, what is it? I keep telling you, it's not anything.
Could not anything be? Could there be a state of not anything?
No, not in terms of the sense be.
Right.
You keep saying being.
Right, because I'm saying I don't believe that nothing can be. I don't think nothing can exist. I don't see how that's even possible. If it is, then it's something. Even if it is a negation of all things, that's something. That's an attribute.
No, and it's not an attribute.
You just described it. Would you recognize it if you saw nothing?
No.
You wouldn't recognize it if you saw it.
There would be nothing. You would no one would be.
It would be nothing. That's what I keep saying. Doesn't make any sense. How could there be nothing?
Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is a very, very simple concept of nothing, and I don't know.
I don't think it's as simple as you think. I think a lot of people think it's simple, but when you try to nail it down, you have to describe it. And if you're describing it, that means you're describing something.
I'm not describing something. I'm describing a negation, as I've said quite a few times.
A negation is something, is it not?
No, it's not. It's a negation.
So a vacuum, for example, if I say, well, that's a negation of matter, but a vacuum is something.
Well, yeah, no. If you say a vacuum is the absence of anything, then that's a negation. But if you say it's the absence of matter, that's a negation of matter, but there could still be other stuff in the vacuum, like energy. So it's.
But you're saying that there is a state. There is a state in which no things.
Not a state.
What is it?
It's nothing. I don't understand how you.
How do you know? How do you know that this condition of nothing ever existed?
It can't exist. That question makes no sense. And that's what I'm saying.
Because you're saying existence.
I'm not saying I know for sure, but I was going to prove it with the universe beginning to exist, and what preceded before that needed to be nothing. I was going to argue that.
I don't think that there can be nothing.
Okay, you've said that quite a few times.
I'm going to keep saying it because it's nonsensical. You're saying that there was a state before the current universe where there was nothing.
Well, I'm saying it's possible that
It's not.
The explanation.
It's not possible that there was nothing.
Okay, so
it
then
would be
what
something
was before the universe?
I don't know. I don't know what was before the universe.
Okay.
No one, as far as I know, knows what was before this incarnation of the universe.
I don't even
believe the universe began to exist at a point in
I
time?
believe that this incarnation of the universe began to exist because I have, some trust in physicists, but not because I have firsthand understanding of what the hell they're talking about. But the point is, nobody knows, as far as I'm aware, what was there before. But to say that there was nothing there before, to me, is a nonsensical, self-contradicting statement.
I didn't say there was nothing.
So then there was something.
Well, I'm actually arguing that there was a God before then. Okay, you got confused with the term nothing, so I was trying to...
Okay, so you do... so in fact, you think there was something?
If there was a God, there was something.
Yeah, I never once said that there's definitely nothing before the universe.
Then I don't even know what that whole discussion was about. So we all think that there was probably something. And then it's just a question of whether or not you want to label that something as a God or just as natural processes or the unknown, right? I mean, which really it is. It's the unknown. So you're calling this God, this unknown, the God.
No, I'm saying the universe began to exist a finite time ago. It was 14 point something billion years ago.
In its current form, maybe.
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
That's what they say.
Yeah, most cosmologists and theoretical physicists say about the universe.
Sure.
That it had a beginning, an absolute beginning of space-time.
Do we trust them? Do you trust them?
I would say I trust them for the most part.
Okay.
It's pretty... And looking at the evidence, it's pretty overwhelming that it did begin to exist.
Okay. What is their view on whether or not before the universe there was a God?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to talk about.
Well, that's what you're going to talk about. What do they have to say about it?
A lot of them are agnostic about it.
Okay. Do you trust them?
No, because they choose to be not necessarily on that point.
Okay.
They just choose not to investigate on that because,
okay.
I mean, when you talk about...
So you don't think cosmologists are investigating or at all interested in trying to figure out what occurred prior to this universe existing? They're not interested. They're not researching that.
Some are.
And don't you think that would be an interesting thing for them to be researching? Like, don't you think that they would be interested in that?
You would speak to a philosopher with regards to that.
Why the hell would I speak to a philosopher about physics?
Well, it's not physics.
It is physics. No, it's not metaphysics. I don't know that metaphysics even exists.
Well, okay, sure. Well, I'll just agree to disagree with you on that point.
Okay.
And continue to discuss before the universe.
Okay, so we already have a problem with your first premise. Now your second premise was
that it has a cause.
The universe began to exist.
Right.
The universe began to exist. Okay, how do you know that?
Well, he's talking about this incarnation 14 billion years ago, the thing that physics describes.
Right, but I'm not a physicist, but if all the matter that's in our current manifestation of the universe was in a singularity, doesn't that still exist?
Technically, no. Technically, a singularity is an infinite point. So it essentially piddles out to zero, which is nothing. And that's pretty much what the Big Bang describes. But there's other evidence that suggests that there was an absolute beginning. I mean, we got from the second law of thermodynamics is evidence.
Stephen Hawking wrote that we can't really talk about what happened before the Big Bang.
Yeah, because time didn't exist either.
Thank you.
Yeah, because the Big Bang describes up to a boundary point. And
yeah, but he basically said that at the time he wrote the essay, I don't know because I don't follow physics, but he wrote an essay saying that we really can't say what happened before Big Bang, that you might as well just cut those events out of the picture because there was at the time he wrote the essay no way to investigate it.
Yeah, because there was no theory of quantum gravity to describe.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just know that's what the man wrote.
Yeah, but there was a new theorem that came out, the Borguth-Vilanken theorem,
Okay.
which doesn't presuppose the quantum theory of gravity and proves that any universe that is on average expanding, that is ours, needs to have an absolute beginning a finite time ago in the past. Okay.
Does it say what happened before that?
No, it just proves that that our universe that we live in has to.
Right. I think what Hawking was saying was that there was no way to make an informed statement about what happened in the time before that. And what you're describing, that's why I asked, is what do they say about the time before that? And you're saying, no, they're just basically talking about since.
Okay, we can talk about what. Okay, well, what I'm trying to get at is that the universe began to exist a finite time ago, and there needed to be a cause for what brought it into existence. It couldn't have just popped into existence.
Why not?
Okay.
I don't know.
What?
I have no idea because this is like over my pay grade.
Why does it have to have a cause? Well, we go back to your first premise again. But
Okay, I think you guys are just maybe a little confused about the science and stuff behind it.
No, I'm not confused. It's like that's why my eyes glaze over with Kalam every time, because you're making these premises that you can't really demonstrate are true, and then you make a conclusion.
Okay,
You said it's self-evident. Everything that begins to exist has to have a cause.
Yeah.
And I asked you how you knew that, and you said it's self-evident. Well, when people say self-evident, that to me means they really don't have any evidence.
Okay, have you experienced anything come into existence without a cause?
Well, everything that I experience is not.
I've never experienced a universe come into an existence.
Yeah.
I'm talking about just normal experience. The experience.
Right, but this is not a normal experience, I guess is what we're saying.
Aren't you shifting the burden of proof, though, by making me come up with an example of something that didn't have a cause?
It's like the black swan thing, right? Like there's no black swans because we haven't seen one.
Yeah.
And then we saw them and it's like, guess what? There's black swans.
That's not true. I've said it's self-evident, and then you said, no, it's not. And I'm asking you to tell me why it's not, right?
Well, you make a claim that everything that begins to exist has to have a cause, and then I say, well, how do you know that? And you say, well, have you ever seen something that didn't?
Yeah, I think limiting it to John's personal experience is not necessarily demonstrating the universality of a thing.
I'll argue it more then. Okay, everything in our universe comes into existence without a cause, and that's been demonstrated through science multiple times, and everything in all the evidence that we have in science has never falsified that truth. That things don't.
So what causes a virtual particle? What is the cause of a virtual particle?
Quantum laws and energy. So the cause is energy and
I mean, I know there's energy there, but I've always heard that they're not acting in a causal way. I mean, what you're telling me is different than what I've been told by other people.
They're random, which may seem non-causal, but they're still causal. They're very causal.
Then what's causing them?
We have certain laws that describe their interactions with the energy, and that's what causes it. I mean, it has a cause at the quantum level, right? They've done numerous experiments on this. It's probably one of the most self-evident things that we have around us. We don't expect things to randomly pop into existence around us. I mean, it's quite self-evident that when we put so many eggs into a basket, we'll expect that many eggs to come back out, right? It's pretty self-evident that whatever is there doesn't just pop into existence.
I'm not sure what Tracey's looking up, but when we get into quantum physics, that's way beyond my pay grade.
All right. So, do you still deny that?
Like I said, I'm not convinced that your premise is true.
And I guess at the end of the day, what hangs me up is how come the same physicists who are paid to make a life of investigating this have not come to the conclusion that you've come to?
I haven't come to which conclusion are you talking about?
Well, you're talking about Kalam, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that get to God?
No. I haven't concluded there yet.
Okay, so we're not getting to God from this.
Not as typically described.
So we're talking about something that in the end, at the end of this conversation, it results in and may or may not be a God.
Well, it gets pretty close to, but not the typical definition.
Okay, and the physicists agree with you about this result.
Some do.
But this is published, and it's, you would say that it's, what is it like? This is a standard view of physicists, right?
Very well known.
Huh?
The Kalam Cosmological Argument is very well known.
Right, but is it a published? Is this physics? Is this published? Is this peer reviewed?
There's been a lot of peer reviewed papers written on this.
On Kalam?
The Kalam.
Great.
Yeah.
In physics journals?
I've read a few over the past couple of years. I mean, I don't have them on me. I'm sure I can maybe after the show write in this blog you guys talk about and post a couple of them.
My view of Kalam is that it's just trying to define a God into existence, and it's a God that nobody who believes in a God actually believes in. Like, is that the God you believe in, or do you believe in a particular God that does things and interacts with us in our daily lives?
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so you're trying to convince us. So Kalam isn't what convinced you to be a Christian, is it?
Not exactly, no.
Not exactly.
Well, partially. I mean, there's lots of arguments. The Kalam Cosmological Arguments can show that there was a cause. If you accept, given that you accept it, like I do, it shows that there's a timeless, immaterial, spaceless, very powerful personal cause of the universe, but it still doesn't get to omniscience and all that other stuff. And you get to the moral argument to get to...
There's a personal cause to the universe. Now, you're saying this is physics.
Yeah, well, I can... I understand that part's a little controversial, and I can explain why. Do you want me to explain why I think...
Well, no, what I want to know is this what physicists believe? Like, is this the what do you call that? The consensus among physicists that what you're telling me is correct?
I'm not sure.
Would you like to talk to physicists and maybe get them on board with what you're saying? Because if you could convince physicists, that would actually mean something, right?
I've read a couple of physicists who have engaged in this argument. I don't know about...
That's fine, but I mean, you're basically saying that this should be demonstrable in a way that, I mean, there's no reason this shouldn't be consensus among physicists, right? I mean, if it's so demonstrable, self-evident, why wouldn't this be consensus?
I'm not talking about the conclusion. I'm talking about one of the premises.
Well, I'm talking about the conclusion because what we're talking about here is the beginning of the universe, right? So this is a question for physicists. And so my question is, why do you think physicists are not yet convinced of what you're trying to convince us of?
The premises is where the physicists interact.
Right, but you're making a conclusion from this that also is a physics conclusion.
So the conclusion then is more philosophical than...
But the question is how the universe came to exist, right?
No, it's whether the universe had a cause.
Right, but that's also a physics question. Right? How is this not physics?
Yeah, the conclusion is physics.
Okay, thank you. Then the arguments and your premise and your conclusion are physics. And so I guess what I'm wondering is, why aren't you working to convince the people who actually study this, who actually drive the consensus perspectives on this? Because if you could convince physicists that you're correct, guess what? On this show, we would be like, that's correct. That's physics. I mean, instead of calling up and saying 14 billion years, right, and us saying, well, that's what physicists say, you could say, because there was this cause that is timeless and personal, and we would say, yeah, that's what physicists say. So why wouldn't you convince the people who actually would have an impact on what people believe about it? Why would you call this show, instead of talking to people in physics, publishing in physics, like convincing physicists?
You guys have bashed the Kalam argument for quite a while, so I thought maybe I would come in and
do it again, right? I mean,
defense.
Matt does a different thing with it, and probably people like it better. Some people don't get where I'm coming from with nothing. Or they think I don't get where I'm coming from with nothing, and maybe I don't. But the point is, there's an entire field of research on this particular topic, where the universe came from. And those would be, don't you think, for an honest person who wants to change the consensus on what that means and make it driven toward whatever they believe that conclusion should rightly be, wouldn't physicists be the people to convince?
Sure.
So why aren't people working to convince physicists? Why is this staying in the realm of religion?
Well, they are trying to a lot smarter.
So call us back when the physicists have changed their mind, and we can have a conversation that starts with, okay, this is the consensus of physics, that there is this thing that I define as God.
You will only believe it if some physicists believe it.
Well, we sat there earlier and said 14 billion years ago or whatever, and we were all just sort of like, yeah, because physics, right? And I mean, yeah, they put out their information and you can go and look at it. That's the beauty of science. You can go and see how it's done if this interests you. If it doesn't, you're not going to look it up, which I don't really look it up. I've read some things, but not that much. But the point, I have read enough to know that your conclusion, which you just said a little while ago, is physics, is not what physicists are saying.
I would have to disagree.
You can disagree all you want, but physicists are not putting forward Kalam.
All right. Yeah, I recommend people research what a lot of physicists have to say about this.
Yeah, I do, because if this is consensus, I'm not aware of it. I have yet to hear them say that this is, the personal.
Well, and once you get to personal and timeless, then you're going beyond what the physics is. You're now injecting.
I'm unpacking what it means to be a cause of the universe. In a philosophy,
but we don't know.
Yeah, how do we know what causes universes?
It seems like physicists would be the people most equipped to define this.
We can discuss what would be the cause of the universe. I mean,
the best people to discuss it would be physicists. I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying is it's like the people that you want to talk to are people who are driving you want to talk to the editors of mainstream physics journals. You want to talk to the heads of the departments of astrophysics at universities. That's who you want to be talking to that can help you push forward the agenda of helping the rest of physicists understand why this thing should be consensus in their field.
All right. So I mustn't speak to you guys about the Kalam.
I mean, you can, but it's a pointless endeavor, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like John is saying, he's going to be sitting here with his eyes glazing over. Most people have heard Kalam before. At the end of the day, what's really going to make an impact is if you can convince the people who actually make the decisions about what is and isn't valid science in this area. Those are the people you want to convince.
You guys prefer to discuss then Christianity in general as you discuss with your first quarter, because then maybe
I'm okay discussing stuff, but in this particular instance, you're talking about extremely complex science, right?
Yeah, it is very complex.
We're really not qualified.
And you can call the show all you want, and basically we're going to be going either because that's what I've read that a physicist says about it, right? That's what physics has to say about it. But then you're going to say other things, and I'm going to be like, I don't think that's what physics says about it. Right. And that's all you're going to get from me is an amateur.
On this stuff is really interesting, actually.
I don't find it interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is even if I accepted your premises and I agreed that the universe had a cause, I still don't know how you get to God.
I can explain if you want.
Well, I think you're just labeling whatever it is, unknown thing it is, you're calling it God, and then at that point I say, why? Why call it God?
Want me to explain?
Sure.
So first of all, something we can probably agree on is whatever caused the universe needs to be pretty powerful to cause the entire universe. I mean, what
if it's counterintuitive? Right? What if it's one of those weird counterintuitive things in physics where you think it's a certain way and then you figure out what it really is and you're like, whoa, that's not what we expected? Like, what if we uncovered the fact of what caused the universe and it really wasn't as powerful as we would have assumed because intuition is not a good way to come up with ideas.
Intuition, yeah.
Well, no, intuition is
bad for it.
Intuition is an okay thing, but when you're talking about stuff that is like unknown and right now unknowable, to use your intuition on something where you're talking about a time when all of our laws of physics would break down is really, really sketchy.
Do you still want to hear my argument?
Yeah, I'll shut up and let you talk to John.
All right. So would you say that whatever caused the universe would be pretty powerful to cause the entire universe?
Not necessarily. Since it's unknown, like Tracey said, things are counterintuitive all the time. So if it's another self-evident argument, I'm not particularly convinced. I'm not even convinced that it's a sentient, if there was a cause, that it's even a sentient being in any way that we understand.
Yeah, I can get to there, but I'm just first talking about this. You wouldn't think it would be powerful. You would think could be weak.
It depends what the mechanism is.
Well, whatever the mechanism is, it needs to be powerful to create the entire universe. This universe is massive. It has a lot of energy.
It is now, but it's been expanding for 15 billion years.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the energy inside it. It consists of a lot of energy. So you don't think it would be powerful?
Well, if the energy already existed and it's just in a different form now, no, I don't think anything had to create that energy.
Okay, we're saying if we accept the conclusion the universe has a cause, that means, you said, just for argument's sake, you would accept the conclusion. That means that there was no energy beforehand. So whatever caused the universe would have had to have created the energy, right?
Well, I guess I'm not prepared to accept that if it had a cause that the energy didn't already exist.
That's a given, though. How can
from my scientific understanding, you can't create or destroy energy or matter.
Yeah, I think you're a little confused on that point.
I don't think I am. But continue. Okay, let's for the sake of argument, let's say it's powerful. Okay, now what?
Okay, we can get to whatever caused the universe needs to be spaceless, timeless, and immaterial.
Why?
Because whatever caused the universe began to exist. Space began to exist. Time began to exist. Matter began to exist when the universe began to exist. So whatever created it needs to be not those things or transcendent of those things.
So now you're saying created rather than caused.
Oh, caused is what I meant. Sorry, not created. I misspoke. Whatever caused it needs to transcend space, time, and matter, because space, time, and matter began at that point. Does that make sense?
Okay. Matt's in the audience going nuts right now, but I can't hear what he's saying.
And personal. This one's a little more technical. So it basically goes that if you have a cause without an effect, right? Or if you have a cause that exists timelessly, and then the effect happens a finite time ago, right? It needs to be an agent of free will to make that effect come into existence. Else the cause would just sit there timelessly.
I think this is a lot of assumptions about whatever was before. I mean, all of this is just assumptions. We have no way to confirm anything about what you're saying. It's just speculation.
You're kind of making a giant leap between a cause and an agent with free will.
Yeah, without knowing the nature of whatever was before this universe, I can't say that it was like a constant. I can't say that it was one thing. I can't say that it wasn't itself some incarnation of time and space that then converted into this in a way that we can't go back and look at. I mean, I have no idea. And the people, anyway, I'm not going to preach about the people who can, but I'm just going to say this is why I'm just like, I'm useless in this conversation.
Well, it goes down a rabbit hole, but I think you basically have to make so many assumptions that you're basically just defining the God that you want, the being that you want to be, the cause as the cause, and then saying...
I didn't make any assumptions there.
Oh, you made lots of assumptions. Like that this was a personal entity with free will who...
Yeah, I didn't assume that. I concluded that, and I gave my argument.
Well, you assume that just because this...
Right, but the thing is you have nothing upon which to base that argument, right? There's nothing that we can measure. There's nothing we can go back and look at. There's nothing we can say with certainty about any of this, but you're just saying stuff and then saying yes, and this makes sense because of what we know about now.
You can. If we accept the conclusion, you can make other conclusions based on that with pretty good certainty.
Then why haven't physicists made those conclusions?
Like, for instance, if a car crashed into another car, right?
Right.
You can...
You're using physics, though, based on what we have now, and you can't apply any of that to what came before. We don't know. I mean, we just don't know. It's a big black hole of knowledge. And all I can say...
just say, we don't know, we don't know.
Yes, if you don't know, say you don't know. Why wouldn't you say you don't know if you don't know something?
That's the only rational response to something you don't know, is that you don't know.
I'm going to say, feel free to pursue this at the blog. Let's crowdsource this one.
You can at least talk about it.
We did talk about it. I even shut up and let John talk about it. I mean, we've talked about it. And you even said that we've talked about it countless times previously on the show. This is definitely something that, yes, we can talk about. We do talk about. I allow conversation. I've let you talk about it.
I've listened to all of the other discussions you've had on the Kalam, but unfortunately they haven't defended it very well.
Okay, well, feel free to defend it at the blog. Point out what we're missing, where we went wrong, where you disagree. Like I had told the other caller, when you first post at the blog, freethoughtblogs/AXP, when you first post, it has to be moderated. I usually moderate any serious entries. If I go there and somebody's making a non-trolling comment, I go ahead and let it through. It doesn't, and people like to talk to theists at the blog, so feel free to post there.
All right.
I can guarantee you there are people at the blog who will be more informed than me and probably less frustrating to talk to about this than I am. So if that's...
Is Matt more informed on this argument?
I don't know. I don't know how informed Matt would call himself or consider himself as a layperson. I think he's more informed than me because I don't care about this topic, and he actually cares enough to look it up.
Wow.
So
I'd definitely like to call again and speak to you guys. What other topics are you guys?
You might call when Jen is on, right? She's actually got some kind of engineering background, so she may be more interested in be talking this out with you. And I know that on Talk Heathen, the show that's on earlier on Sundays, they sometimes have like somebody with a physics background. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe somebody knows that and can help us out. They've had somebody with a physics background on there before. I'm assuming they're still helping out with the show and still helping with hosting, but I might be wrong.
We're not faulting you for calling in. We took your call. It's just I think we've kind of we've run its course now. We kind of understand what you believe and why you believe it.
And you're probably going to get some support at the blog with people saying Tracey is completely, off or nut on this one. So feel free to go ahead and post your thoughts there. Like I said, just give it maybe a day or two when you first post. Don't think that it didn't go through. Just know that it has to be moderated. We'll moderate it. If you don't see it in a couple days, then there might be a problem. But I'm pretty good about going in Monday, Tuesday, and making sure that I clear those comments. So feel free to post there, and maybe you'll talk to some people who have more interest, have more information, more background, who are more able to relate to what you're describing.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank
ramble
you.
along.
No, I really appreciate the call.